Slimehouse TV, myself Theo Kane, welcome back to Toy Talk Tuesday, and if you're new to the channel, this is Slimehouse TV. Hold tight to Slime Alliance if you're watching this a little bit more in advance. I'll talk about my Patreon tiers at the end of the video. But in today's episode, I want to talk about something that came to me recently. Basically, my dad's been going through his storage. As you know, he brought me a load of Ghostbusters figures, he brought me a load of Masters of the Universe and stuff like that. And my mum hit me up and she says, your dad's got a load of 2002 Masters of the Universe figures. Do you want them? He doesn't want to sell them, he'd rather give them you. So I said, oh yeah, fuck yeah, I love that line. Thinking there might be like a box or two, like there was with the Ghostbusters and the other He-Man, the old Mattel 80s He-Man. They turned up to my house with like 9 boxes of these He-Man, carded, loose, vehicles, Castle Grayskulls, all sorts of stuff. So I'm going to do a whole video going through them properly at some point. There's a lot to get through and I've got to decide how I want to do the video and things like that. Do I want to do it as one like this? Do I want to do it as a video essay? I don't know. I've not decided yet. I've got a lot going on at the minute. But when I was looking at the toys, I was thinking to myself, boy, He-Man figures never look so good. Now, this was a dope cartoon. Like I said, I'm going to get into this whole genre of this toy in another episode, but I love this He-Man, and I was looking at these things and I'm thinking, do you know what? These might be the last great action figure. These might be the last awesome action figure that was ever released. When I say that in a sense that you get a lot of toys that are made nowadays that are catered towards collectors, even though they sell them in Target and Smiths and all these stores and Walmart and things, they're still targeted to collectors. It's rare that we get toys nowadays that are just made for kids to enjoy and are fucking awesome. At least that's what I thought before I went out to the shops yesterday. So I'm going to talk about a little bit about my thought process before I went to Smiths and B&M Bargains yesterday, just on a random one looking, and then I want to talk about my thought process after. But just going back to these figures for a second, so I remember seeing these on the shelves when they first came out and I thought they were awesome. And don't get me wrong, these were figures that were very catered to adult collectors, but at the same time they were made for kids. There was so many different like battle accessories and things like that. When you get figures that are marketed to adults, it's rare that you get them with so many like firing missiles and so many various ridiculous play sets and vehicles and all that kind of thing. And when these came out, there was so many to a point that they almost suffered from the oversaturation that like the Star Wars Power of the Force and Star Wars Episode 1 figures did. The companies produced so many of them at the time that they was not collectible anymore because there was so many. They were marketed towards collectors, but they made so many of them that there was just an abundance of them everywhere. And nowadays those figures are worth probably the same amount, if not less than they were when they went on the rack at the time, the Star Wars figures. Not so much these ones. These ones now have gone up in value and things like that. There's people that are very dedicated to collecting them. But they definitely did kind of suffer from oversaturation because almost every single figure got released in a different colorway. There were so many different He-Mans and Skeletors, so many different vehicles. When I was going through the boxes, I'm like, boy, there's so many vehicles for these things. There's so many different variations of vehicles. And I pretty much got all of it in that haul, so I can't wait to go through it. But again, looking at them, I was like, these are like one of the last great action figures. You get Ben 10, you got some Biker Mice from Mars remake figures and stuff that came out around that time, and there's always been like Doctor Who figures and stuff like that, but a lot of this stuff is also catered to collectors, not just kids. You get new Ninja Turtles figures and things like that. You've always had your wrestling figures. Wrestling figures have always been marketed to both kids and to collectors. In the last like 15 years or so anyway. If you know more about those, then you probably can talk better on the subject than I can, because I'm really not well rounded in wrestling toys. So when I talk about like new figures that are shit, this is a prime example of that. Now, no, I'm not taking anything away from the designers or anything like that. I'm sure they serve the purpose. They're really cheap, and that might be the point of them. They're very cheap, and they're marketed to kids that maybe haven't got a lot of money to spend or anything like that. But as an action figure, these literally bend. I think this one bends at the arm. This one bends at the arm and the knee. So it's a bit better than the other ones I've seen. But there's so many figures now that get sold in this style. And before I went into the toy store, this is like my impression of what most toys were like nowadays. And when I do these videos, this is a discussion. I'm not trying to tell you facts or anything like that. I'm discovering a lot of this stuff while I talk about it. So I always want to know your opinion. So don't forget to let me know in the comments below your opinions on this subject. Now, I remember a couple of years ago, I went into Smiths and they were releasing these figures. Oh, it's making noises. And these are the Lanard Aliens and Predator figures. Now, I think these are awesome. I've got one of the Predators down here. Oh. They've actually started releasing these in the same scale now. When they released this at the time, these were like much bigger than the Aliens and the Marines and stuff like that, so you couldn't play with them together. But these are a toy line that I thought were awesome. Now, I couldn't quite work out, are these marketed to Aliens fans who grew up in the 80s and the 90s and want to buy toys now? Or are these marketed just for kids? If you look at them, you look at the style of them, I would definitely say these are more marketed to kids, but don't get me wrong, a lot of people my age and older and younger and stuff like that were buying these things because it's fucking aliens and we love alien shit. But when it comes to something like this, then this is, again, something that I can't really put in the category of like a new toy because it's off the back of something that we nostalgically love, like the He-Man figures, like Ninja Turtles figures and stuff like that. They're always going to sell ones that are like pretty decent toys for both kids and for collectors. And then you get toys like this that are marketed like pretty much just to collectors. They sell these on the rack in Smith's and Target and Walmart in the kids section, but these are the kind of things that adults are buying. These are made for adults to buy. In my opinion, they're made for adults to buy. They're made for collectors. Like, as much as a kid can buy that, there's a reason why there's adults going in there and scalping them all and selling them for more on eBay, because adults are the people that are buying these more than anyone. In my opinion, in my experience, like I said, I might be wrong. I'm not trying to fire facts at you. I'm asking your opinions and having a discussion. But in my opinion, these kind of He-Man, these Masters of the Universe figures that are coming out like this, the classics, the retro play, they're all ones that are made for adults. Same goes for these reaction figures. These are figures that are made for old nostalgic properties in an old nostalgic Kenner 3 3/4 style, and these are made for collectors to buy, for adults. A kid can buy them, a kid can play with them, but they're price pointed to collectors of our age. But another example of toys that are brought out now that are for kids and are nice and cheap and are actually good articulated toys to play with, not like that stupid Shazam figure. These came out in a dollar store in America, these Final Faction figures. You couldn't really get them over here. A lot of these ones, the alien ones, I got sent by my friend Wayne in America. He goes, I've been collecting those Final Faction figures. You can only really get them in America. I want you to check them out. So he sent me these Final Faction figures. And then my friend Judd actually found some in Poundland in Doncaster in England. So he bought me some as well. So I've actually now got a pretty decent collection of Final Faction figures without even trying, what people have just picked up and passed me. And these are only £1, so they're really nice. And if you've been on toy collecting forums for any, like even a short space of time, you'll have seen these crop up because people were pretty gassed for them when they came out. You got some really nice alien figures, some Cope style G.I. Joe Marines, very Halo, very Gears of War, very War Planets and that kind of thing. And a lot of people were like buying these weapons packs and customizing them and doing stuff like that. So these are a good example of a toy line that were brought out not for adult collectors, brought out for kids, and they're a dope action figure and they're really cheap. But in general, I was very much under the impression that the toys that come out now, unless they're wrestling figures, unless they're figures like those Masters of the Universe retro play figures or reaction figures, and I'm not talking about Black Series either, because they're another prime example of a figure that are sold on the same racks as kids toys, but they're very much marketed to adults. I'm not talking about those kind of figures, or G.I. Joe Classified, which we don't really get over here in England, maybe in very select stores, but they're again made for collectors. I was under the impression that there's not probably that many anymore that are marketed just for kids off a property now that's just for kids. And then soon as I walked in to Smith's, I saw the new Buzz Lightyear figures. Now, these are toys that are very much marketed to kids. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure adults buy them because us adults do buy toys. And I've also seen people buying the ships, the Zerg ship, and converting them into G.I. Joe classified vehicles because they're a real nice scale for them. But when I saw those, I thought, do you know what? These actually are dope action figures with dope articulated features. They're not like that big Shazam figure and all those big Marvel figures and Batman and stuff you get in that style and Star Wars and stuff like that. These are figures that are made for kids to play with and they're articulated like a classic action figure, better than a classic action figure. These are the toys that are like the Marvel Legends but for kids in that articulation, and as a you, I'd have been fucking buzzing with them. Speaking of Marvel Legends, those kind of toys, they had a lot of them in there as well in Smith's. And I look like I'm somebody that's doing like a toy hunting video in Smith's. I didn't actually buy anything. I literally went in for research. I went in for research! That's my argument. But again, all those Marvel figures, they're from the classic, like, comic book looking style Marvel toys and stuff like that. They're very much marketed, again, to collectors. But then there's another toy line that I saw quite a while ago, and I thought they were fucking awesome, and I thought, do you know what, I'm going to go back and look at them just to see if they're as awesome as I remember, and I wasn't disappointed, and they're the Fortnite figures. Now, I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. Fortnite, I thought the exact same thing about Fortnite a couple of years ago. I thought it was the lamest, kiddiest, dancey TikTok shit ever. I thought, yo, you're never going to get me into Fortnite. My friend Respect BA kept saying to me, bro, jump on Fortnite, there's a Marvel season. John Wick's in Fortnite, Terminator's in Fortnite, Predator's in Fortnite. And I'm like, nah, I can't get into it. I don't like that daft TikTok shit, kids building and all that. It's not for me. I said when Rambo comes into Fortnite, then I will play Fortnite. But to me, that's something that's very much marketed to kids. I know a lot of adults play Fortnite and stuff like that, but when you think of Fortnite, you think of kids. It's something that kids play. But about 6-7 months ago, my goddaughter's convinced me to play it, and since then I've been playing it every single night, and I've convinced lots of other people to play it, and I love Fortnite. I've talked about it before. Fortnite is fucking awesome. Fortnite is very much like playing with action figures, and it takes place on an island that's kind of like the center of the universe, and portals open and it brings through characters from all different genres, which is why you've got Marvel and Star Wars characters and movie characters and all this stuff and game characters all under the same map, all fighting each other, which is fucking awesome just in itself. But it's not actually those reasons that the figures are made, because I haven't actually seen any Fortnite figures for characters that are from any other genres. They're always Fortnite's own characters, and they create like crazy characters just for their own franchise. Cool cyborg looking people, alien dudes, every single kind of character you could ever think of is in Fortnite. And I used to look at that as like, oh, this is a company that doesn't have any integrity. They just have any kind of character. They throw all of them in. There's no style. But that is their style. The style is that this is the center of the universe planet where all different kinds of characters come in from all different worlds. So you've got movie characters, you've got cartoon animated characters, you've got weird animal creatures, people that are made out of jelly, people that are made out of duvet blankets, all weird crazy stuff all on this island together. And it's those figures that they create of their own characters that I think are fucking awesome. So my goddaughter's got one of these toys like a Christmas or 2 Christmases ago, and I was playing with it and I'm like, yo, this is a dope figure. So I've always like seen them on the aisle and not really paid any attention to them. So the other day I went into Smith's looking specifically for these toys, and yo, the figures are fucking awesome. If I was a kid playing with those figures, I would have been so gassed. Starting with the little minifigures. They do little minifigures for £3. A little minifigure with articulated joints, and it comes with a weapon, like an accessory. I was so into minifigures as a kid. You'll know that if you've seen my videos, and these were so fucking cool. Then they've got like some more 3 3/4 size ones, a little bit bigger, but again, they're articulated like a G.I. Joe with loads of accessories. And if you look at the characters, they're all their own weird characters that they've created, and they're all sculpted and designed in such a cool way with really awesome colors. And then you've got the bigger figures that are more like this kind of size, and yo, I was tempted to get a couple myself. I ain't gonna lie, I talked myself out of it because I didn't want to buy a couple of toys just to show in this video. Like, I don't need to be doing that. I do that sometimes, but I had to kind of talk myself out of buying these. But oh man, they were so cool. They were this cool pirate dude with a barrel that explodes and accessories and things like that, and then this like cyborg guy with wings, and I'm just like, boy, these figures are fucking awesome. So I was under the impression that most kids' toys now are fucking wank, and maybe a lot of them are, but when it comes to those Fortnite figures, boy, they ain't playing. They were so cool. And even now I'm trying to like, I feel like I'm talking myself into buying a couple of them because they were that dope. They were really, really cool figures. So I was probably going to come into this video initially being like that grumpy old man that were like, oh, they don't make figures like they used to. These He-Man are the last great figures that were ever released. But no. So I would love to know your opinion on this subject. I know I went on a bit of a rant and I talked about lots of things in this episode, but I would love to know your opinion on this subject because I went into Smith's, I saw quite a few other cool toys and I was pleasantly surprised. So let me know if there's any like new figures that you think hold up to the old figures in terms of like something that's not marketed towards collectors like Masters of the Universe are, and the G.I. Joe Classified, and some of like the more like obscure wrestling nostalgia figures and stuff like that. Figures that are just marketed to kids, for kids, and that are just as awesome as the stuff that we grew up playing with, because I thought there was not many left. It turns out that there might not be many left, but the Buzz Lightyear figures, the Jurassic World figures, which are also kind of jumping on the nostalgia thing, but certainly the Fortnite figures were all fucking great. So let me know in the comments below your opinion on today's Toy Talk subject, and if there's any subjects you want to hear me talk about in the future, let me know in the comments below. And if you're somebody that prefers to like direct message, then hit me up on Instagram at Theo_Kane_Slimehouse, or just drop me a message if you want to show me something cool. Tag me in your latest toy haul, your latest car boot haul. I'm very active on my social media, so holler me on there as well. I also talked at the start of this video that you can watch this video 2 weeks in advance. If you're watching it a little bit more in advance, you're part of the Slime Alliance. The Slime Alliance, that's my new tier on Patreon. Where you pay a $5 or more a month and you get access to videos 2 weeks early. And at the minute I'm up to, I think 16 members at the time of this video. I record like a lot of these in a block, so you might have heard me say in a few videos I'm up to 16 members. At that point I could be less, I could be more. But when I get to 30 Slime Alliance members, I'm going to start dropping exclusive videos on Patreon just for the Slime Alliance members. But if you can't afford that, you can also become a Slime Renegade for as little as $1 a month or more, and you can still help me make this channel bigger and better than ever. whatever. It all goes in the Slimehouse pot and it all keeps me able to make this cool stuff. In the meantime, I'm Theo Kane. Thank you so much for watching this video. Hope everybody's good. Stay blessed and I'll catch you in the next video. Until then, I'm gone. Pow!